With now 2 of the 3 60th Doctor Who specials through, showrunner-writer Russell T Davies truly feels like he's hitting the basics, showing the audience Doctor Who still has incredible fundamentals. The Star Beast acts as a return to form, the family drama side of Doctor Who, you know, a solid opener, bringing the audience back, with great characters, comedy, and a nice dose of Who charm. Wild Blue Yonder takes the fundamentals of the other side of Who. Space, science fiction, greatness, and all that comes with the unknown. Our characters faced with impossible odds and a dash of horror. It's these 2 sides of Doctor Who that you would think would be conflicting with each other, yet are both true to the core of the show. I mean, who doesn't love a classic Doctor and companion wandering through an abandoned spaceship at the edge of the universe? Strange occurrences afoot with too many questions for it to be simple. It's a classic sci-fi setup, and what RTD does with this is laser focus on our lead duo. We only get 3 episodes with Tennant and Tate returning, so let's push these performers to the edge in interesting ways. If the highlight of last week's episode was the frankly incredible production design, this week it's the performances. Right, since this is more of a mystery episode, we're going to break it down chronologically. So, let's appropriately start at the start. The opener is quite a fun scene where the Doctor and Donna crash into an apple tree the moment when Newton will be establishing some of the fundamental laws of the universe, like gravity. On first watch, I didn't quite understand why we had this opener. On reflection, my guess would be it's here to show the early days of the universe, with the literal discovery of the laws of physics, and to contrast this with the fact our characters will be trapped at the edge of the universe with no starlight, only teased by dark nothingness. Or perhaps it's here to show how RTD will be utilising time travel and the impacts of meddling with history. I'll be interested to see if mavity is now the universal word for that force that pulls us towards the Earth. The Tardis eventually lands and we arrive at a staple setup of Doctor Who stories. With the Doctor and Donna arriving at the location of this week's story, there's some especially clever writing. A premise like this of a massive abandoned spaceship at the edge of the universe is something the Doctor couldn't help but be drawn into. If they had just stayed with the Tardis, they would have been fine, but they can't help themselves and want to explore, almost begging for an adventure to come. No surprises, the Tardis runs away, and who doesn't love some hats? Now the Doctor and Donna are trapped with no Tardis or Sonic in hostile territory with a great big mystery to unweave. As Donna aptly puts it, the Tardis has run away. If she ever wants to see her family again, they're gonna have to defeat the threat. The Tardis has brought the cavalry to this fight in the form of the Doctor and Donna. They even come into battle with their own war anthem, Wild Blue Yonder. They head off down the big corridor that looks fine. It's clearly green screen CGI, but it gets the job done, and Jimbo the robot looks fantastic. The Doctor and Donna continue to explore, and the questions start to build. Like, what's this robot? What's the strange words over the loudspeaker? Why is this ship abandoned? What's the banging? Why did the airlock open 3 years ago? What did the Tardis run away from? In a Chibnall episode, you can imagine how these questions would be frustrating. Chris! Chibnall! Give us some answers, mate! Under RTD, the intrigue is addictive. We get quite a moving scene about being at the edge of creation. The majesty of it, the existential dread.
Absolute nothingness.
Starlight travels.
It's a great scene where all the elements complement each other. The sound design fades in and out with a long note of a violin.
Get us.
The way it's shot on the other side of the glass, occasionally giving us a beautiful wide. The incredible performances, especially the consideration and wonder in Tennant's face. This void, this nothingness is a feeling I can relate to as I think about existence, about death, about watching any of Chibnall's episodes again. That's for Mitchie in the back. Our characters begin repowering the ship in 2 rooms that look really fantastic. The orange glow and tactile feel of an alien engine that's nearly like a goopy server farm. The calm blue reflection of the clear water tubes and taps of the spindle room all add to this feeling of an alien ship with systems that exist and work that we can't understand. We get a nice breather here where our characters are able to open up and just talk to each other about how they're feeling. Now, viewers may quickly notice that something is up. It may not be apparent at first, maybe the editing is just weird, but our leads seemingly have doppelgangers. Regardless, in this moment we get some very sweet reflection, especially just after the existential dread of the void. Donna is able to consider her family, what they'll do now she's gone, the notion of her daughter growing up, and what that means for a mum.
And then time will pass. Rose will grow up. She'll have a life.
The Doctor considers what the Tardis will do without him, as a ghost monument, a Stonehenge that passes through the rise and fall of civilizations until it's the only thing left. We even get a variation of This Is Gallifrey gently appear in the score, which I loved.
There's the Tardis. Still on its outcrop. By the sea.
Both of these scenes are brilliant. They allow the characters to emotionally reflect on the things that matter most to them, just before the action starts. Furthermore, there's this underlying feeling that something sus is happening and that we have some imposters
Among us!
Not among us!
with arms that are just a bit too long. It's a pretty good, unsettling reveal, and I especially like the effect. The prosthetics look great, and especially David Tennant's massive hands leave a searing image in the mind. Our characters are now distinctly in danger. All that build-up is paying off as the true conflict starts. Luckily, the big hands are as terrifying as it gets. Huh?
Joel.
Oh, it gets worse. So much worse. The imposters chase our characters down a massive corridor in a sequence that doesn't look good, I'd say, yet is still effective. The way they expand and get bigger until they're crawling on all fours really unsettles me. It just looks wrong, and this works for the intention of the episode. When we learned Doctor Who would be getting a much larger budget, there was some concern that it would lose some of the charm of its often cheesy CGI effects, which don't look particularly realistic. Funnily enough, instead of using that extra money to polish the effects, they've just gone bigger, quite literally. It all comes down to intention. Yes, they don't look the best, but they're serviceable towards how this scene is meant to make its audience and characters feel. Scared, that is. It's true to the idea that Doctor Who can have some seriously goofy special effects that somehow complement a fairly serious scene. Our characters get split up in different parts of the spaceship, and we get my favourite sequence of the episode, not including the final scene. Firstly, we get this scene in these dark hallways with vents and actual attention paid to interest in Leiden. It's tense and I like the look and feel of the doors closing. However, the true peak of the episode is our characters plus the imposters ending up in a verbal standoff trying to convince each other that they're not the imposters. What's great is that the audience also has no clue who is who, especially as they all have the same memories. It's a great tense moment as both the audience and characters try to pick who is real. Let's start with Donna's side of the fight. It's fitting that Donna would be able to pretty much verbally vomit her way out of the conflict. It's great that she noticed the tie detail as well. It's the perfect setup of Donna being stupid but also brilliant at the same time. To cap it off with imposter Tennant doing this hilarious exorcist contortion is both cheesy and horrifying.
Auntie Iris, Mummy and Daddy, why does he travel with someone as stupid as you?
The Doctor's Showdown is something I didn't quite expect, and it's incredible. It starts as you would imagine, as they both square up to each other as to how they could be real. I especially love the line where Tennant's explaining that he constantly doesn't know anything.
Well, then you're not the Doctor, because he knows everything.
Except for the million times when I don't, and I tell you so, don't I?
Until Gallifrey gets mentioned, and Donna explains the Doctor is not from Gallifrey, that he has no clue where he's from, referencing the timeless child. Tennant tries to keep a straight face, but ultimately he can't control himself. Imposter Donna has hit a soft spot, and the emotions are bubbling to the surface.
You're saying this to break me down.
We haven't stopped to talk. We haven't had a chance.
Flux, of all things, gets mentioned, and just like that, a plot point that Chibnall entirely forgot, that Flux destroyed half the universe, is retroactively made better. You see the Doctor break down with guilt. In less than 3 minutes, RTD has given more emotion to Chibnall's own plot points than he managed to do in 5 years and 3 seasons of television. I was astounded. I didn't expect this to happen or to bring so much weight with it. And it's funny how these ideas suddenly feel that bit more digestible. Because I care about the Doctor, and the writing shows the impacts of these concepts on the character. This wouldn't work if the writing wasn't good, and Tennant especially pulls it off in his performance. The next scene is heartbreaking. The Doctor emotionally breaks down into a violent outburst, all alone, before he silently recomposes himself and rushes back towards the action. Of course I was feeling the feelings. This is a great way to demonstrate to the audience that our lead character maybe isn't okay, and has been through a lot. Our characters and imposters, all reunited, have a standoff. After some quick mental gymnastics, the Doctor is able to overload the imposters with this idea that humans often believe two massively conflicted notions. Mainly that Donna at times thinks she's stupid, but also brilliant.
The astonishing thing about people from that planet, they can believe two completely different things at exactly the same time.
Importantly, Donna is the one pointing out the obvious questions and answers that the Doctor may overlook.
The Tardis will come back for us. They know that. So if they become completely us, the Tardis will come back for them. Why are they making us so scared? If they want to copy us, why don't they just sit in a corner and do it? Why terrorise us?
That's a very good question.
Yes. Oh, brilliant.
It needs to be complimented that in these sequences you have 4 characters in the same room playing variations of the same characters and reacting to those variations, all done fairly practically with camera and editing trickery. Tennant and Tate are so careful not to go over the top with the evil versions, instead letting the almost blank, empty expressions propel the tension. Not to mention, when they do converse, the imposters no longer hiding have this strange cadence to how they speak.
Things we felt, they shaped us.
Like words themselves are foreign, and the manner in which some of the syllables come out all add to this unsettling conflict.
Why?
An abundant amount of questions have been raised by this point, and we learn the imposters additionally don't have the answers for most of these. There's this fantastic scene that once again shows the Doctor just can't help himself. The imposters want the Doctor to work out what's going on, that way they'll know what's happening and be able to escape. Our lead characters try to stop thinking, to slow down. Donna has no issue with this. However, as the tension builds, the Doctor can't contain his thinking, before breaking out into a monologue, solving many of the questions that have teased the audience and characters. Perfectly, the imposters look on with glee. I'm not going to break down all the answers here, they're all satisfyingly solved. I will demonstrate this by presenting one example of how the story set up one of our main answers by threading the idea throughout the runtime. We learned that the strange words that activate parts of the ship and the robot are a countdown to the eventual self-destruct, in place to destroy the world-threatening imposters at the edge of the universe. What I love about this reveal is that counting has been a constant throughout the story. The audience just won't have realized it was important until now. It starts with the Doctor translating the written alien text by working out the numbers, and from that being able to interpret most of everything else.
If I can translate their basic 1 to 10, I can find out where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
When we get the strange words again, the Doctor lists off what it may be, including a countdown as the potential answer.
Fenzel and Collis. Like a list or solicitors. Or a countdown or instructions.
Furthermore, one of the ways the Doc tricks the imposters involves convincing them they have to count all of the grains of a line of salt like a vampire or demon. Once it's revealed to be a countdown, the audience is able to have this ah moment as it clicks together. Because even if you weren't paying attention to the minute details, your brain was. Furthermore, sometimes the answers don't need to be complicated. As the Doc states, it's as simple as a countdown to an explosion, and it works here.
Countdown.
I said so! I said countdown straight away, it's that simple! Oh, I translated the numbers, I never heard them out loud!
That's how you do satisfying countdowns, Chibnall. A race begins as the imposters attempt to stop the countdown, and our characters try to slow them down. There's this moment where the Doctor is about to catch the imposter, and he just starts running on his hands and legs like a dog. It's horrible. I think quite an interesting question here is, why does the blow it all up solution work? Because I do think it works here. Especially a solution that was a constant lazy writing crutch throughout Chibnall's run. Well, the difference here is that it's the entire point of the plot. The whole mystery hinges on the fact the previous captain of the ship made a plan to stop the imposters. As we learn more and more, it's all building up to the reveal of the countdown. Furthermore, at the point that the explosion comes into play, at least one of our characters is directly in danger of the explosion. Yes, Donna was never going to die, but it's still some level of stakes. Finally, the Doctor accidentally takes the wrong Donna in the Tardis and has to come back and kick the imposter out by pivoting the floor. Yeah, this is a cheesy last second rescue. But, what's this 30 minutes earlier in the episode? Donna falling down a sliding platform. The idea is established earlier in the episode, thus when it happens at the resolution, it feels more natural. Setup and payoff. Wild Blue Yonder and The Star Beast are both solid episodes of television. Both are great in their own ways. I don't think either of them are instant Doctor Who classics, but that's okay. Here's hoping the final episode of the specials, The Giggle, can deliver something really special. I'll also like to add here that when I previously had to rewatch a Chibnall episode for a review, it was pretty much torture. Here though, these episodes only get more delightful with each rewatch. I want to finish up this video by talking about a theme that I think is especially poignant. This idea that two conflicting ideas can be true. We can have an episode of Doctor Who that is cheesy and scary, that is followed by an incredibly touching reunion with Wilfred Mott returning for one final scene. It was beautiful. The tears were starting to push their way out. With Doctor Who, 1 week can be a family Earth drama, while the next it'll be a horrifying mystery at the edge of the universe. Last week explored how the Doctor could be female and male, and so much more. This week, Donna could be stupid and brilliant at the same time. We're being shown how two conflicting things can be true. And if you know anything about next week, you might understand why this theme is key. However, let's bring this all back to me, the most important part of these reviews, god damn it! My attention and time making these videos is significant. It's important to create, and it can be equally true that it's time to stop, to let go, to move on. And that's heartbreaking.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe.
Nothing's sad till it's over. Then everything is.